What's up, good people? I hope you're having a blessed day. My name is Landon. I'm joined by Zach, and this is High Ground Podcast. And Zach, what are we talking about?
So today we're talking about How to Train Your Dragon, the new one, the live action one.
The live action one.
Yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon, the brand new iteration. It came out in 2025. The cartoon came out in 2010. This is the live action remake.
15 years ago.
15 years ago, and I thought it went pretty well. It was directed by Dean DeBlois, starring Mason Thames, and a whole range of cast. So we'll go through that cast as we talk about this movie. The ratings of this movie so far is 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 4.0 on Letterboxd. Zach, what is your rating on this movie?
So I gave it a 7.9 out of 10.
That's a good rating. That's a good rating. I gave it a 7.4 out of 10.
Nice.
Which these are higher ratings compared to other live action reiterations.
Yes.
Would you recommend this movie?
Yeah.
I also recommend this movie.
Especially if you are a fan of the OG animated movies, and I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. We are joined by our mascot Shadow, so if you hear her growl, that is who she is. She will be revealed after 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe. Zach, tell me your thoughts and what your just tell me how you feel about this movie. Just tell me your thoughts.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. It kind of like we already kind of hinted at, it definitely is one of the better live action remakes just in a whole. I think I could be wrong. I think this is the first DreamWorks live action adaptation of animated movie. If there is another one before this, then I didn't know. So that's cool if they did. But my opinion is this is the closest thing to a shot for shot remake we'll get. It was, I'd say 85 to 90% accurate of translating it. So
yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to do a live action movie, that's what it should be. It should be as if you're just looking through a different lens.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But,
so you are correct. This is the very first DreamWorks animation to live action remake, which is How to Train Your Dragon.
Nice.
Before we get into more of our thoughts, what are some other live action DreamWorks projects that you might want to see in live action that were originally animated projects?
Yeah. So there's a lot of options, obviously, because DreamWorks mainly strictly does animated movies.
Yeah.
The only difference is whereas Disney has a lot more human live action translations, I feel like there's a lot less human.
Yeah.
So
like Shrek.
Like Shrek.
Yeah.
Well, and we talked as a joke Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda.
It's just, what if it was just Jack Black?
Yeah.
But
Monsters vs. Aliens.
Dude, I would actually. Oh yeah, we did talk about. Yeah, I would really like a Monsters vs. Aliens live action. That would be cool. Then there's also Over the Hedge is good. There's Madagascar,
Megamind, the Prince of Egypt.
Megamind. That's what we really talked about. Prince of Egypt is cool too. So yeah, Megamind would be. I think out of all of them, Megamind would be the top of my list probably because I love that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's still pretty early because again, this is only the first week, day 2 of it really being released. So it'll take some time to really see how it performs, especially compared to Lilo and Stitch, which just came out. So I think depending on the numbers will determine if they want to do other projects live action. But if it succeeds, then I say go for it, pull the trigger, but stay true to what you did with this one as far as keep it the same. Don't try to change plot points and stuff
100%.
Yeah.
Don't add characters or anything like that.
Exactly.
If you want to see our review or listen to our review on Lilo and Stitch, we already did our review on that about a couple of weeks ago, so you can go listen to that on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or you can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, you can see us when we use our hands.
Yeah, you can see my ball.
The ball.
Yeah, so I'm not going to lie. So coming to this movie, and maybe it's just because of fatigue from the Disney live action remakes, I was low-key getting tired of live action remakes of animation films. I was this seems like a cheap way to get money and all that. However, How to Train Your Dragon, all those action scenes, They were very good, and I know a lot of people have problems, and I understand you have problems with that too. And you'll talk about that too, about the casting, I guess, of certain characters. And I'm gonna go ahead and let you talk about that. How do you feel about the casting of these characters we love now in live action form?
Yeah, so I'll start out with my absolute favorite, which is kind of an easy one, Stoic. So for reference, Gerard Butler reprises his role. He voiced him in all the movies, and now we get to see him in live action, complete. Like, it's like they pulled him right out of animation and said, here you go. I love that. He didn't change one bit. He was still stoic. Love that character. So I mean, it was easy to just like hard not to hate, or hard not to love how much they did respect to that character. And then another kind of more side character I want to talk about is Gobber. I thought he was aight. Like, that's literally my note, was Gobber was aight, because he was good. However, it still felt a little off. I think the look a little bit. He looked like Gobber, but I think he could have been a little bit more proportionate to his character. But also, like, the voice was a little different. Like, it's a very minor critique. Like, I'm talking a bare minimum. Like of all the issues I did have, that was not an issue. I had like one main issue, and I'll get into it in a second. So before you'll come at me in the comments, I love this movie. So, the main group. So this is like, so for reference, when I say the main group, we're talking about Hiccup, Astrid, Fishleg, Snotlout, Roughnut, and Toughnut. Yeah. So Hiccup, great casting. Airplane cameo.
Airplane cameo.
Anyways, sorry. Hiccup was great. And I'm sure you'll add to this too, but we talked about the voice.
Yeah. That was my big minor critique of the movie.
Yeah. Which, like, once you hear him speak for like a couple minutes, you kind of adjust. Yeah. But it is like it's a little thing. And again, when you have like I'm using Lilo and Stitch because that's what we've talked about. The only other live action we talked about really on this podcast. Lilo and Stitch was, not that. They had a lot of changes. So there was a lot of critiques. But this one, like, very small critiques. However, and then, so starting, Hiccup was good. Astrid was really good.
So, yeah, and that is a lot of people were coming at a lot of people were coming at the actress after they showed the casting reveal. Because, I mean, obviously she looks completely different from the animated version. But she, in my opinion, besides Stoic,
I'd say she was the second best in the movie.
Yeah, that like translated from the animation,
the attitude,
the voice, the attitude, the action sequences that she did.
Especially the action.
I thought it did really good, and I thought Mason Thames did really good as Hiccup. But the only thing for me was that voice,
and that was really, which we'll talk about this in a little bit. If they make a second and third, just like the original, I think going forward it'll fit a little better. Because you remember in the first movie, Hiccup was a lot younger. So yeah, his voice being the way it was made sense, but like over the course of the movies, it did become more like grown up and stuff. So yeah, I think in the future it'll be a little bit better. But and then the rest of the gang. So I'm gonna fire through these a little bit. Fishlegs was okay. I think he was the cast. I forgot you can
Julian Dennis.
Thank you. Yeah, he was a good. Fit as far as like looks, and embodiment of him. Kind of awkward, kind of. And he was a little funny, like he's like Hiccup. Like, it was funny. So I think out of all of them, he's not at the top of my list of like this sucked. So like he did good. Roughnut and Toughnut, boy, where do I start? So I'm trying to remember. Roughnut's the brother, and Toughnut's the sister. Is that correct?
Flip.
So Toughnut is brother.
Yes.
Okay, so Toughnut I thought was good. I think he nailed the like persona pretty well of just like this obnoxious like just class clown of the group. And he kind of looked accurate. But Rough Nut was not it, bro. Like, I'm so sorry. But again, and we said this before in previous podcasts. No offense to the actors or actresses. Like it's not like I don't blame them. I don't hate them. However, I do think they dropped the ball in the casting. You could at least gotten people that looked alike, like twins. Like, it just did not click. And her lines just didn't feel authentic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see that.
Compared to others. And then I have one more I really want to talk about. This is my soapbox, and then I'll let Landon take the lead for a little bit because I've been yapping. But Snotlout, boy, how to ruin a character. I mean, am I right? Oh my gosh. And again, no offense to the actor. Like, I'm not dissing hate at you. However, the casting, they failed you. I'm sorry. They failed you, like, for the role because first of all, he didn't look like Snotlout. So, like, he looks scrawnier than Hiccup, dude, like physique-wise. And in the animated movie, he looks jacked. He's like this jock. He's this cool dude. He was lame, man. And, like, I told you this after the movie, but, like, I'm not going to lie. I haven't had secondhand embarrassment or, like, I haven't cringed from someone's lines or something any more than him in this movie. His line, like any line delivery he said in this movie, like I'd rank that as higher cringe than like any random like Office Moment episode that's kind of like you should say that.
We always have The Office on in the background as we record because The Office is legit.
It's a great show.
Go watch it.
Go watch it.
So I think after watching this movie, you already mentioned it, I would be 100% fine with them doing the second movie and the third movie as a live action reiteration. And like I said, if you go watch our last review on the Lilo and Stitch, the live action remake of Lilo and Stitch in 2002, you're gonna see me dog on live action remakes. But maybe I was wrong after watching this movie.
When it comes to this, maybe they should. Yeah,
exactly. Because I mean, they did Toothless. Great,
dude. Toothless was perfect.
I just want to give a prop to the CGI in this movie.
Yes.
Every dragon looked good. All the fire looked good. All the action looked good. Even like you mentioned it, the last scene with the giant dragon looked menacing.
It scared me, bro. Literally.
No, I low-key got scared whenever Hiccup first finds Toothless and Toothless just roars at him. I kind of got scared at that scene. So, I was like, dude, this is a real dragon. This isn't a cartoon no more.
No, and I have to bring it up because you brought it up. So after the movie, we were talking, and so when we watched the movie, there's some random kid that started crying after that.
Yeah,
it was like we're not like exaggerating. It was that scary. Like, if I was a kid, I'd be crying too, bro.
And like it wasn't necessarily scary as like a scary, but you come from watching the cartoon, you don't expect that from the How to Train Your Dragon movie.
And that same shot happens in the animated movie. However, it's like they just like we're like, let's make this way more traumatizing.
Basically, so that's our like non-spoiler reviews. I hopefully we didn't spoil anything. That's just our base review. But we're going and go right into spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I recommend it. Go watch the movie, especially if you're How to Train Your Dragon fans.
Yes.
But we're gonna jump right in. Can we talk about that scene? The scene of him falling and Toothless is falling, and then they reconnect, and the top, I'm saying it, one of a top 5 heroic score of all time.
First fight.
That scene, I mean,
such a good cinematic score.
One, it looked really realistic. Like that's where I really give props to like the CGI is because the camera's shaking, it's going all over the place.
You felt in it.
You felt like you're in it, and then 2, Toothless looked beautiful, bro.
Yes.
Like I want a dragon now. And then 3, that score. I'm gonna glaze that score till I die.
Top 5 scores.
Gave me goosebumps in the theaters. Zach, tell me about that scene.
Dude, I loved it because because I told you because I know, correct me if I'm wrong, you had never seen the original movies till as of late, correct?
Yeah, so last week or just a few weeks ago, No, so I watched the first one like a month ago.
Yeah.
And when I watched that first one, I was like, this is a perfect movie.
I get it now.
Bro, even watching the first movie and watching that scene in the first movie in cartoon form, I still had those goosebumps. I was like, I cannot wait to see this again in the IMAX. So, and then I watched the last two movies very recently, and those are really sad. So,
oh yeah, those are.
we won't go through all that.
Yeah,
I had a wild experience. So I binge watched all the John Wicks and basically all the How to Train Your Dragons like in the same week to prepare for Ballerina and How to Train Your Dragons. So I watched John Wick 4 and How to Train Your Dragon 2 in the same day. So I had to witness John Wick and Stoic die in the same day, and it was very traumatizing. No. So anyways, let's talk about How to Train Your Dragon live action still. Zach, tell me about that scene.
It was so good. So I'll share a fun little like personal story with this. So because I told you this when I saw the very first original animation movie when it came out in theaters.
Yeah.
So when I went, I had a very unique experience, one that I could never replicate. That scene where he falls off Toothless in the animated one, someone pulled the fire alarm when I saw that movie.
Yo.
So the movie stops and then like everyone's kind of confused and then we hear the fire alarm and I'm like, and it kind of like confused me and also like I thought it was part of the movie. I'm like, do they make it? Are they still like, do they start? Like I was 5. Like I don't know how old I was, but I was young, man.
To be continued.
But not literally.
That would suck.
Oh man. But no, so like that scene always stuck out to me now because it's like I think of that, but also like it is such a good scene because like it's the first time Toothless and Hiccup finally like connect, like have a true full connection. Well, one of them. The other one I want to talk about real quick is the shot with the hand. Like when dude, they did so good on that.
Let's talk about that shot for one, but let's talk about the shot they took out of the movie.
Oh yeah.
I'm a Viking. I'm a Viking.
Okay, no, and this is what irritated me. It was in the trailer.
Yes.
And they just so we watched the movie and like we're waiting for this scene. It's like, all right, this is one of the big scenes. And he has the knife, like everything is perfect. Doesn't say anything.
Exactly.
And then it's just like
and then he just cuts him out. I'm like, you forgot the line.
I was so frustrated. I'm like, why put it in? So let me get this straight. You filmed it, put it in the trailer, and for the movie, you're like, let's just take it out. Yeah. This one scene everyone loves, let's take it out. Like, that's like my one pet peeve with this movie is that bothered me because I'm like, that something's missing. This should be here.
Yes.
And the only other scene that stood out they took away, and it was the one where it was right after the first flight. And they're finally flying together, and then Hiccup's like, "Yeah, let's go!" And then Toothless spits out the fireball, and they fly through it, and he's like, "Oh, come on!" And then it jump cuts to them sitting down, and like Toothless is eating fish, and the little dragons show up.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and Toothless is feeding, and they're wanting his food, and so they try to get his food, and Toothless just like gets rid of them basically. Yeah. And one of them, Hiccup gives a fish to, and then like a line that I was like, this line especially should have been is everything we thought about you was wrong. And it's like, why was that not in the movie, man? I thought that bothered me. That is like the only out of everything, that's the thing that bothered me the most, I think, because that was such a good scene. But at the end of the day, like that is the only like major complaints. Like the fact that is the most I have to like hate about compared to Lilo and Stitch, where it was like so much I hate. Like it's a big difference. But definitely loved it. Definitely think we should get all 3 remade. Like take their time with it, obviously, but I think that would be really cool if they did that.
I agree with what you said, but I would argue that everything that is not an action scene from the original animated movie did not translate well to the live action version of How to Train Your Dragon. However, I would also argue that everything that was an action scene from the original animated film translated almost perfectly to the live action remake. Do you agree?
I agree. Yeah. I definitely think, like I said, like, so some of the dialogue was either cut out or changed up a little bit, or just delivery wasn't, the exact same, which you're not going to get. And I think that is the one thing with any live action remake is it's almost, because if you make everything crystal clear and perfect, like to the original, then why make a live action? So to a degree, they have to change stuff to a degree, like even this where the margin of change is like very minute and small, but it's just enough that it justifies there need to be live action, I guess. If that makes sense. But I agree. The action shots were peak. Like they were exceptionally well done, and especially any shot with a dragon, to that matter, was good because the dragons were sick. Like that's why I'm thinking the way they did this. I'm like, man, if they made a second one and a third one, that'd be cool. Because if they do the alphas from the second movie fighting,
oh, that would be cool,
brother. And just
I want to see his lightsaber.
Oh, dude,
that thing was cool.
Fire sword, bro.
The fire sword. I was like, dude, this dude has a lightsaber.
That is the coolest thing ever. When I first watched it, I was like, what?
Genius. Yeah,
and then was it? I can't remember if it's the second one or the third. No, second one. He also did the wingsuit.
Yeah.
So he could fly with it, and that was cool. And then the third suit, they made armor out of their shedded scales. I was like, dude,
some of that armor in the third movie was really fire.
Oh, it was sick, dude. But yeah, I think it was incredible. That's what I'm saying. As live action remakes go, that one is probably my favorite. Again, and I'm biased because How to Train Your Dragon movies I've always been attached to, and I love those movies. Like a comfort movie. The music's great, all that's great. So to see that in live action was very well done. So yeah, I definitely hope they just continue with that, and maybe down the line they'll explore other live action remakes if they're going to do it with DreamWorks movies. One thing I did want to point out, this is kind of an interesting thing because we talked about this last night, but it felt like the live action was longer. It was. Yes. I have the times. So live action was 2 hours and 5 minutes. The OG animated one was 1 hour and 33 minutes. So we got 30 something extra additional minutes in the live action. So, which is interesting because they didn't change a whole lot. So I think that's just some scenes were drawn out a little more, action wise and stuff. And then the only thing they added was Stoic speech.
Yes.
They added I'd say 3 to 4 minutes maybe to that, maybe longer. Which one gave Stoic a little bit more fleshed out character. Not that he needs anymore, but it's just, to me, honestly, they're like, you know what? We got Gerard Butler to play him again. Let's just give him a little bit more screen time.
Yeah, that's true.
And I respect that because as you should. I thought that was cool because I was wondering, I was like, man, is it just me or does this one feels way longer? Because I know the first one when I watched it, I'm like, this is a short movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting.
So after the movie, watching the credits and all that, so they show the orchestra, everyone who was in the orchestra, and I'm like, yes, give them all the credit. The soundtrack, the score of just How to Train Your Dragon is beautiful, man.
It is so good. It just literally kind of like you said, just goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
It is very rare. And I love movie music. It's Star Wars, Marvel, and even just random like Interstellar.
Yeah, that's good.
That soundtrack, I love the whole thing from the back. So like Interstellar, some of those scenes still give me goosebumps with just the music. So this is the same level to that of me. It's just like you turn on How to Train Your Dragon music, and I'm like, oh, dude, I want to be a Viking. I want to fly a dragon.
John Powell, man. Good job.
Yeah, good job, man. Bravo.
But yeah, man. Live action, How to Train Your Dragon came out this year. We recommend it.
Highly recommend it.
Do you have anything else you want to add on to this?
No, just justice for Snotlout.
Justice for Snotlout. Yeah, I told Zach this. I was like, dude, watching Snotlout freaking try to rizz up Hiccup's mom in the third movie was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing ever. I was like, all right, cool.
Who died and made you chief?
Yeah.
That was a crazy joke.
Cool. So, you good?
Yeah.
Cool. So, before we close out, Zach, who's your favorite Friends character?
Chandler.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right. So,
That was so quick. Oh my gosh.
try to get more random questions. The randomer, the better.
Yes.
Y'all, we love Jesus. We love the Bible. We love sharing the word of God. And Zach is going to do that right now.
Cool. I'm going to be reading out of Hebrews. Hebrews 12, 1 through 3 says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart.